Good morning to you, and happy 4th July. And it is great to have an opportunity to celebrate independence. Because I am such a person. During my lifetime, we lost our country and lost independence. So a home, away from home, and to be able to celebrate independence is something wonderful. So, as I always say, very proud to be American Tibetan. And it is the opportunity to remind myself that when you lost independence, and then you lost everything. I don't talk much about it, what I lost, because that's about over 5 decades ago. So maybe close to 6, 1959. Actually, we lost our independence in early 50s. 51, and we really lost. The Chinese communists marched over Tibet in 59. 2 huge division of military establishment, southern and eastern, both, from 2 sides, 3 sides actually. There's a 2 road way between the Central Tibet to Chinese border. One is through difficult paths and the mountains. One is between the mountains through the valleys. Both are not side by side, very far away. So they marched in both directions, plus from the sea through India also. So poor Tibetans who really have no military or violence experience, military experience extremely poor, they fought against Chinese with the fist and knife and sparrows and maybe arrows too. And so that is against the modern weapon, automatic machine guns, cannons, and that against them is nothing. So really, it's sort of a little militia organization, resistant a little bit in various rivers. Mountains, they could not. southern division of the Chinese military, to the Geleks, all of them, trained themselves, clementized before they march over Tibet. Apparently, Mao supposed to have a thought of invading Tibet, because Mao has two choice: chase Chiang Kai-shek in Formosa, Taiwan, or go to Tibet. And so Stalin, the then Russian advised Mao, forget it, Chiang Kai-shek, because it's one China. One China accepted by both Chiang Kai-shek, the national government, and Chairman Mao, the communist government. Both accept one China, not two Chinese government. And that's the reason why when the UN voted to have a communist China as a member of United Nations, the national government walked out. They're not kicked out. They walked out because they said one China. So the Stalin told Mao, no matter whatever you do, they will hold the one China policy, so you don't worry. Sooner or later it will be yours. No matter it may take 40 years, 50 years, doesn't matter. It will be yours. But Tibet, if you don't control now, it will be controlled by the Western power. So that's why Mao is sad. It's so funny, I don't know why I'm talking that today. But Mao, it is said, Mao sat in the train and thinking how to invade Tibet, and he sat with his couple of friends, sat in the train, ran around until he finished his planning. Keep on running through the train throughout China, here and there, not coming out of a train, just sitting there from one place to another. So 8 or 9 days he stayed in train and worked out that plan. So according to that plan, the Southern Division whole, thousands of soldiers claim to climatize the Tibet, and they left in Chindu near below the Himalayan foothills. But every day they have to carry big stone in their bag and climb all the way up to 50 feet high, 100 feet high, 150 feet high, 200 feet high. For 6 months, they did nothing, but 1,000 of soldiers are climbing up, coming down in the evening, climbing up in the morning, so they can easily walk through Tibet. The climatic problem is not there. So that is how they invade Tibet. Anyway, with all kinds of finally they didn't talk much. They did talk, but there's not so much compromise. And so finally there's something called 17-point agreement. And 17-point agreement, and along with that, I think we lost total independence of Tibet. In early 50s, though though we did not have much chance to fight, but early 50s we lost. At the beginning, all the Chinese soldiers are so helpful to the poor people. And they somehow went into various villages everywhere and tried to help poor people, bringing water home, delivering water, delivering wood, and delivering food even. For about 5 or 6 years they did that. And then everybody said, oh, these Chinese are so nice. And naturally, and they also bring money too. They distribute money for no reason. So everybody who's this poor old lady over there is alone, no children. So the soldiers will deliver water, food, medicine. Doctors will come and deliver and then give money, all that, for about 6, 7 years. And after 7 years, no more delivering, no more delivering. And they said the young people should come and work for the Chinese. And so it is what the Tibetans called, they put us wet leather hat. So wet leather hat is nice and comfortable when it's wet. And when it started getting dry, it started squeezing. So finally, 1959, all Tibetans everywhere rebelled against Chinese. And then the government of Tibet, which Chinese call it local government, like a state type, local government. And that was the day the government of Tibet, known as Gandhi collapsed in 10th March, or round about that, 10 days or so, 10th March, 1959. The day Gandhi government collapsed, Buddhism collapsed in Tibet. All the monks, those who have little ideas, left Tibet. The learned ones, many of them left Tibet and ran as a refugee towards India. This speaker included. And there are some still remained in monasteries, and however, under so many pretexts of calling, they are involved in rebelling against communists. 1. 2, re-education. And 3rd, called teaching to the monks and nuns how to feed their own stomach. So which means they push them into the road building and also in the villages to grow their own food and all that. And thirdly, those guilty ones are sort of exiled in no man's land in China, Chinese border somewhere, to building difficult roads or difficult military setup and all. These are punishment. So under any pretext of all kinds of different names, so that all the monks and nuns are almost destroyed. When it is destroyed, the root of Buddhism really depends on the Sanghahood has been shaking from the ground completely. So in my opinion, the day the Ganden Phodan government collapsed, the Tibetan Buddhism collapsed completely in Tibet, including Gelugpa, Nyingma, Saja, Kagyu, every different sect, particularly Gelugpa, the great monasteries of Sera, Debung, Ganden, Upper Tantric College, Lower Tantric College, all of them just became just empty building standing. No people, no living. So that is how Buddhism died in Tibet that day. And luckily, His Holiness, both great masters of His Holiness, both Gyebje Ling Rinpoche and Tizan Rinpoche, similarly many learned teachers, scholars of all different traditions in Nyingma Dunjum Rinpoche, and then Tingho Chenze Rinpoche, etc. Karma, Kagyu, Jawa Kamaba, and Jawa Drukpa, and finally Jawa Drugungpa, and all of them gradually re-established in India. Similarly, Sakya, both of these Sakya Dakshins, Dakshin Chiba, the Tomupura, and Dakshin Rinpoche, the Phunzopura in Seattle, who's now, and many other great Sakya scholars, teachers, and in the Gelugpa, lot of great teachers, including, as I mentioned, both masters of His Holiness, as well as great abbot, such as Genpama Gyaltsen, Gen Losang Wonchu, Gen Nyima, Shawa Khyentse Gen Nyima, and Shasa Khyentse Gen Kharuwa. And these are the real great scholars that walked from Tibet towards India. And Genpama Gyaltsen actually remained as a Losaling abbot for 19 years, though period of abbot is only 6 years. And in emergency cases, he remained 19 years abbot, and are all re-established in India is all because of His Holiness's efforts. And India's the host. So the Tibetan Buddhism is really re-established very much in they died in Tibet, and they re-established completely whatever is there today, and then back again in Tibet after this cultural revolution and all this type of different pretexts period is over. Then this Mao died, I'm almost says luckily Mao died, but it's not luckily. He lived as long as he could. But then luckily this Deng Xiaobin happens to be a very wise person and came out of jail and eulogized the Mao's funeral and became Chinese leader, which was a great thing happened in the world because Deng Xiaobin believes freedom. I don't know whether he really believes democracy or not. He demonstrated otherwise. He demonstrated other way in this Tiananmen Square Chinese rebuilding, and I thought China was relaxed, so I wanted to go and visit, and I was waiting in Singapore. And then these student demonstrations developed in Beijing for about 3 weeks or something. Then Deng Xiaobin showed in one his true color. And the soldiers in Beijing will refuse to run over the students because they are somehow family, friends involved. So he got the soldiers from northeast. Those are the Deng Xiaobin was the man in charge to come to invade Tibet. Actually, during Mao made him in charge. He is the chief guy to invading Tibet. So he brought those soldiers back to Beijing and ran over the students. And that is how he showed his true color. And those days, there were one Chinese leader who very sympathized for democracy. I forgot his name, but he is also Politburo member. Very powerful Politburo member. And he helped the students. He led the students. And it is funny. It was supposed to have said, Deng Xiaobin asked him, "What do you have? Show me." He told Deng Xiaobin, "I have a public." He said, "I have a soldier, you're lost." So then they put him in jail. And put him in jail till either Deng Xiaobin died or Hu Yaobang died. And then they give him the opportunity to eulogize, just like Deng Xiaobin had the opportunity to eulogize Mao. He couldn't manage very well. So then this Chinese democratic movement has been somehow not been successful. And meanwhile, so much conservative people, and there are a lot of liberal, and the fight between the liberal and the conservatives are not ending. It's become very strong. When the conservatives get into power, then everywhere, Tibet, Mongolia, Xinjiang, and all these minority areas are completely tight. And they remove the human rights out of their area completely. It becomes completely not only a dictator, but even more than, it is almost like a slave type of controlling. And then when the conservatives lose power in China a little bit, liberals pick up a little bit, they will relax little bit in those minority areas, people have a chance to breathe. And then we do something wrong. Again, the conservatives come back to power. They will say, see, when you try to do this, and this is what's happening. So move aside. We're going to control them. This is exactly what's the game been playing for 20 years. So always it is a good thing to fight against China for Tibet, but if we are not careful, it suffers tremendously the people because it helps the conservative and doesn't help the liberals at all, because that's how they say, this what happens if you liberals take over. It's the same thing here too, conservatives and liberals and do that. And but here is an election. People have the power. People can choose. There no. It is the Politburo, and which whoever has more power may not. And then that is what it is. And that is one thing in China today. And then there's another group called princely as well as poor people in power control. This is supposed to be communism. But there's a princely group. Princely group is those who have joined in Long March. Long March is the Mao has Long March. A lot of people walked with the Mao against national Chinese, and they have to run around because they're defeating. So they're like thousands of people ran, and they run out of food, and they even boiled shoes and all that, they've been eaten, supposed to be. So people who joined in the Long March, they're rewarded by the communist government later, giving huge industries, huge, it's an old China, very rich country. So they take it away from people, the rich people, and everybody, rich and poor, everything. It becomes so poor, and then all this money and industries giving away to these Long March people. They own it. These old people died, so their little kids of like 20, 30, 40 are extremely rich in China today. Extremely rich. We read in the newspaper, they have three this interested in sports cars and this and that and all that, and they even drive Maserati or everything in New York City and all that we see, and it is these are the people, and then the princely people and the people who really worked through, and they fight for the power again. They fight for the power. That is among the liberals. They fight for the power. And President Xi Jinping is princely guy because his father was one of those long marching guys. So, but these two internally fight. And then the princelies will fight among themselves. Honestly, among themselves. This, remember, about 3 years ago, we read a lot of those Boxilai in Boxilai whose wife supposed to be killed, a British spy and all that. And this is princely internal fight, making sure they'll destroy them and so that you don't catch my power. You don't challenge me. So it is very, when you observe in China, it is very, very very funny condition. So it looks like a China forever, but it doesn't. If you really look internally, it is very, very fragile, very fragile, very fragile. And so what they did right or wrong, I don't know, because they removed all politicians. They removed all politicians, and all policies and politics are mostly the technicians runs. So the whole government is running by the technocrats. And I don't know whether it's right or wrong. We don't know. The world has not yet proved whether they're running the government by the technocrats or politicians. Which is better? We never know. We will know down the road in 50 years or 100 years' time. Historians will tell what it is. Anyway, so these are my thoughts when we are celebrating independence here. And this was my experience throughout. And when you lost your independence, it is terrible. It is terrible. You lost all human rights. All human rights. And when you gain your citizenship, when you gain your independence again, and then it's not the same thing, but it is something great, something we really appreciate, admire. So I cannot tell you anything except you have to appreciate the freedom. Honestly, freedom. In this country, no matter whoever you are, how poor you may be, how weak you may be, you can raise your hand and say, hey, I am citizen. I have my right. So you can do that. You can do that. People have to respect that. No matter whoever you are, you may be a minority. You may be very minority. Very, very minority, like a Tibetan. Tibetan Americans, how many we have? Maybe a couple, maybe 1,000 or 2,000. That's about it. That much minority, what I am. So that much minority, even then you can raise your head, equal to among the Caucasians, among the African Americans. No matter wherever you go, you don't have to bend down. You just be one of them. And this is the beauty of democracy. Independent, freedom of choice. It's a freedom. And liberty. All these are so great. And you people normally never even think about it because you are taking granted. You are taking granted. It is a part of our life. That's what I am. That's what I'm born. That's what it is. We are Americans. That's what it is. Sort of taking granted. But sometimes you sit back, listen to like what I say. Because I have the experience of independent. Not only an independent, I was born in Tibetan. Not only a silver spoon in my mouth, but gold spoon in my mouth. Honestly, I was born in such a family with such respect. These Rinpoches, Tamil Rinpoche's previous incarnation, Yangon Tamil Rinpoche, was my father. 13th Dalai Lama's nephew, one of the 4 regions of Tibet. And so I was born in very, very strong family, that our family or our establishment or Labrang actually had a war with the Tibetan government at the turn of last century for almost years. Lhasa divided into 2, northern and the southern. We have the north. Tibet government has the south. This war lasts over a year. So sort of that's my background. That's our background. And I normally don't talk about it. And today I talk because Rinpoche not only being the reincarnation of my father, but also my nephew, my brother's son. And plus I have my sister here today. I don't know where she is, but wherever she's sitting somewhere, I don't know where, but must be at the back. So that's why I simply said that's where I was. But no matter whatever you are, no matter whatever, the day when the Buddhism goes down, the day the contemporary government goes down, everything went down. Everything. Your monastery, your estate, your family, your teacher, your colleague, your friends, and your retinue, your wealth, your food, everything gone down one single day. And I became penniless refugee. Honestly, I have vehicles in Tibet, truck, station wagon, and jeep. I had. But then I became a refugee. One day I got a ride in the Indian garbage collecting truck at the end of the garbage collecting truck. And I got a ride from Tawang to Misamari. No, Tawang to Bomdila. So I was very happy to be in the garbage truck. I never thought I will put my foot in vehicle again. But I was very happy to get a ride in the garbage truck. I sat at the corner and hold both railings together not to throw me off the road. So it was very happy. Amazing, the refugee experience is fantastic. And I couldn't, when I first went to the railway station in Assam, and I was looking for toilet, I know how to say where is the toilet in Hindi. I know how to say it. So I asked somebody, where is the toilet? And they showed me a nice little room. So I went inside, look around, and everywhere a porcelain, clean, so clean, and I don't know where to pee or to use it. I came out thinking, and because this is not a toilet, it's so clean. Came out. And then I asked somebody else again. They pointed out to the same place again. So that shows you how naive and how backward and we are. Sometimes I don't blame Chinese. And they told us, you are so naive, so barbarian. These are the Tibetan qualities by the Chinese. So naive, so barbarian, so backward, so dark, there are 5 of them. So these are the 5 qualities of Tibet, according to the Chinese. This is not communist Chinese propaganda. This is in the Chinese school text. In even 1901 and the 1890s, that's how they describe Tibet. So backwards, so dark, so barbarian. So 5 of them, now 2 I don't even remember. Maybe it looks like Dr. Dorji here, is it? Am I right? Yeah. Do you remember what is the 2 other ones? Huh? No, okay. Anyway, so there are 5 of them. That is how they describe Tibet. And sometimes I wonder, when I first got out of Tibet and the Indian railway station, I couldn't find the toilet. So probably thinking so backward and so dirty too. Or maybe one of them is so dirty too. Or maybe. Or so diseased. And that is how the Chinese describe Tibet. And for a long time, even beginning of the Chinese relaxation, and they told tourists when they wanted to go to Tibet, the Chinese divers tell them, why are you going to Tibet? It is such a backward, such a dirty, such a barbarian place. Why are you going? So first 5-6 years, they've been saying that. And later, of course, people know now the Chinese comes to Tibet for holiday. So anyway, that is how time changed. That is how it works. So with the independence celebration, and these are my thoughts, that thought occupied me yesterday completely. So I share with you today. Even when I went to bed last night, I've been thinking all this. So how horrible to lose your independence. How horrible to lose your freedom. How horrible to become control of somebody else. Somebody else totally control you. You have no right to get up, no right to sit down, no right to eat, no right even to pee, honestly. So that is how, when you lose your freedom, that's what happens. These are not happened in civilized world. Doesn't. Even we took over Japan, we rebuilt Japan. Today, Japan become one of the most industrialized country in the world. We took over Germany. We defeated the German because of Hitler. And after that, we rebuilt Germany again by Marshall Plan. Marshall Plan was great after World War II. Rebuilt all, we destroyed. Today, we have destroyed Iraq, we are destroying Syria, and we are destroying everywhere. But do we have Marshall Plan? No, we don't. We have dunes today. Dunes today. And we don't have a Marshall Plan. We have domes. So that's the difference. So people have to think that. People have a choice here. You have a wonderful freedom. I'm not telling you who you should vote. I cannot. But you have every right to choose. And each and every one of your votes will count. Everything will count. Everybody counts. Everybody will make a difference. This is your privilege. This is a privilege of independent, freedom, and all this. This is what you call a pursuit of happiness, right? That's what it is. So you have to appreciate that. And you'll know if you lost, that I'm telling you with my own experience. And when you have that choice, not only you have a choice in your political life, you also have a choice of your economic life. You also have a choice of your spiritual life. And that's why you all are here. The bottom line of this spiritual life is kindness, compassion, and love for yourself and for all others. You can never waver away from the love and the compassion. Love and compassion really gives you the happiness, really gives you the joy, really makes the other happy too. So it is really the source of happiness, source of joy. Otherwise, the hatred, the anger, the jealousy, the obsession, these are the opposite forces. If that takes over your life, you lost. You lost your precious, wonderful, powerful, independent, free life. And if you keep love and compassion as a principle of your life, and you gain all of those, you help others to gain and to develop, to be happy. And this is the goal of your spiritual path. Spiritual path wants to make you happy, make everybody happy, if possible, happy forever. Like you will always say, may all beings be happy, free of suffering and cause, free of suffering and its cause. One should never separate from the joy that never knows suffering. So these are our goals and aim. And this is what we pray for. This is what we work for. Not just pray alone. Pray alone may or may not materialize. What we call it, my prayer has been answered or not answered. That expression we use, but prayer alone, I don't know how it works. Sometimes it does, maybe, but mostly if you make sure you create the cause and the condition, the cause and the conditions are right, things do function well. That is why we call it dependent origination, because things happening depend on its cause and its condition. Cause of creating happiness and joy. Condition to develop happiness and joy. And who does that? Ourselves. We have to do it. In other words, don't forget, we are responsible to our happiness. No one else is. I been in India 20 years as a refugee. I speak Indian language quite okay. I admire Indian culture and people of India. I appreciate. But do I want to be Indian citizen? No. I was not satisfied with choice. I was not satisfied freedom. Of course, India is the biggest democratic country in the world. However, their political system is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And so strong caste system. So strong caste system, upper caste, lower caste. The Indian government tried to protect lower caste by creating a special conditions and all that for lower caste, which backfires. Honestly, in my opinion, it backfires. So you go to school, you study, if you are lower caste, you pass at 50% passing mark, and you are passed. You are passed. And if you are higher caste, you have to go to 60% or 70%. Otherwise, you failed. And so does the positions in government are total. Many of them are reserved for the lower caste and scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So as a result, all this, a lot of the people get a job, higher job, on those less qualified than that. So that is, in my opinion, is a backfiring. Though the permissive, permissive action or permissive rights or whatever in this country sometimes work wonders. If there's no permissive action. Permissive action. If there's no permissive action, the things will be slightly different, and this country is suited. But in India, it's so much. In my opinion, it's so much. But that's my opinion. I'm not even Indian, so I have no right to express my opinion. But that's my observation of living there 20 years. So I wanted more freedom, more choice, more happiness, and so that's why I became American citizen. And I did not become American citizen because of green dollars, but because of freedom, choice, and self-determination. And all these are the reasons, and you people have it. Enjoy it, appreciate it. Do not ignore. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. You never know. So appreciation is so important. So that will also become a spiritual path, interlinked because of this principle of love, compassion, principle of freedom, principle of democracy, principle of choice. All of them are same thing, very similar, interlink. So please have union of politics and spiritual together in your life. And that's all I wanted to say today, because I'm sorry I took all the time talking about my own story and crying, looking back and crying the death of Tibet. And I'm sorry to bring you in there, because when you are celebrating independence, you have both of those, happy to be and sad what you lost. So that's what I looked at in. Thank you so much, and enjoy your freedom. Honestly, enjoy. Be happy with the 4th of July, honestly. Thank you.